Thank you. We're going to kick it off. I'm going to turn it over to TARC Executive Director, Ozzy Gibson.
Sure. Alex, we got to start all over. All right, first of all, welcome and thank you all. As you all know, TARC is facing serious financial problems as many other public transits in our country. TARC is taking a proactive approach and acting now so we can keep TARC services strong for the community for many years to come. TARC 25 is TARC's major project to meet this challenge. It's about working with local residents to figure out how to update the bus system so it can meet the needs with available funding. TARC 2025 will deliver two concepts later this year. One proposal will assume a significant reduction in available operating revenue as is currently projected. The other proposal will show how TARC could be more reliable and useful for local residents if additional dedicated operating revenue is secured. To the community, we want to hear from you. Your feedback is going to help us establish clear priorities for the draft proposals that are expected later this year. Today we're launching 6 weeks of public engagement that's going to help us gather feedback. We're unveiling 3 concepts that show what a redesigned TARC network could look like at different budget levels. Here behind me. The TARC team will be out in force in the community from now till September 12th. You'll see us at bus stops, you'll see us on social media, hosting open houses, and we'll be stopping by your neighborhood association meeting. Your input is what matters most. If you'd like for us to attend a meeting, please reach out and let us know. I also want to give a big thank you to our stakeholder advisory committee. We convened a great group of community leaders to help us with this project, so we really appreciate their time. What I want to do now is I'm going to turn it over to Scudder Wag, our lead design consultant. Scudder's a principal at Jarrett Walker and Associates, a firm that is widely seen as the best in the business in helping transit agencies like ours work through conversations. Scudder's going to walk through these concepts here and what's going to happen in the next 6 weeks to develop the draft proposals. So thank you all very much. Scudder, it's all yours.
Good morning. I'm Scudder Wag. I am with Jarrett Walker and Associates. We are a transit planning firm that's part of the consulting team that is here to help TARC work with the community to figure out what can TARC do in this unprecedented situation and this unprecedented fiscal challenge. We are a transit planning firm that has worked with communities big and large across the country, that is diverse and extensive, from Miami to Houston to Richmond to Knoxville and many, many others. Have a similar conversation about what should the transit agency prioritize to help the community get the most it can from what transit can do for it. And in today's situation that TARC is facing, there are really difficult choices to consider. And at this point in the process, we are asking the public, the TARC is honestly asking the public, what should it do in this unprecedented challenge? How should it serve the community in this unprecedented challenge? So we have concepts for the community to consider, hypothetical examples of what TARC service could look like in the future if we prioritize different goals in this fiscally constrained situation. And what could TARC do if the community decides to invest more and do more and get more from transit service? So on my right over here are 2 examples, hypothetical concepts of what TARC service could look like for the community in the situation where TARC does not get any additional revenue and does not get any additional investment. Both of these concepts show what it looks like to have 50% less transit service in running on the street. That is the level TARC would have to drop back to given the fiscal situation it's facing, given the revenue it has. They are very different in what they do in serving the community because they prioritize very different goals for what transit is trying to achieve for the community. The first one here, with mostly red and blue lines, we call that the ridership concept. This ridership concept is trying to provide the most useful service to as many people as possible. All of those red lines represent service that comes every 15 minutes. And that's a level of service where you don't have to think about the schedule. You can just show up and the bus is going to be coming soon. And a lot of people find that useful, and a lot of people would choose to ride it. The blue lines represent service that comes every 30 minutes, which is still pretty useful, pretty easy to use. You don't have to think a lot about the schedule. It's not as hard to plan your life around that kind of service. So the ridership concept is concentrating more frequent service in the busiest places where we know we get a lot of riders today, we know we can get a lot of riders in the future, and so we call it the ridership concept, because it's trying to do the most we can with the resources we have. But because we've only got so much service, because we have a lot less service than today, we don't go everywhere TARC goes today. And so it covers less territory. It doesn't go everywhere. But where it goes is very frequent, it's very useful, and a lot of people would choose to ride, and a lot of existing riders would still be able to get where they're going. The other example, what we call the coverage concepts on the far right, that's a network that's trying to make sure we go everywhere that TARC goes today. But when we spread it out, we spread it really thin. And so on that map, most of those lines you see are green and tan colored, meaning the bus is only coming every hour, or the tan colors, the bus is only coming every 90 minutes or every 2 hours. That's a really long wait. Most people wouldn't be willing to endure that kind of wait, and most people get to far fewer jobs and opportunities in a reasonable amount of time. It goes everywhere that TARC goes today, but much less frequently, much longer waits, far fewer people find it useful, far fewer people would likely ride that network. These represent hypothetical examples of what TARC could do. They're on a spectrum of possibility of what TARC could do. We need the community to help us know what should we prioritize, where should we land between these two concepts. What should TARC focus on in this unprecedented challenge for its future? This is not an easy choice, this is a hard choice. Should TARC, with its limited resources in the constrained situation, should TARC focus on the most useful service in the busiest places? Or should TARC try to go everywhere it goes today, get to everyone it gets to today, even if the service is a lot less useful, even if it means not as many people will likely ride? And that is the big question about the constrained situation, about the fiscal challenge if TARC doesn't get any funding. Both of these are going to be big changes, big challenges. Anything we do, even in between, is a big change and a big challenge. This network would mean the average person could reach about 10% fewer jobs than they can today by transit in 60 minutes of travel time, which is a reduction. It's not a great outcome. The coverage network, because it's so much less frequent, because it's much longer waits, the average person could reach about 40% fewer jobs than they could today in 60 minutes. And that tells us, importantly, both of these have some significant challenges for the community. This one means more usefulness with the resources we have. This one means we're reaching everyone, but less usefulness. Now, over here on my left, we have what if the community really wants TARC to keep going everywhere it goes today and still be really useful? The growth concept shows if the community invests more in transit, it can get more out of transit and it can get more usefulness out of transit. The growth concept is 12% more service than today. We have all of that frequency in the ridership concept, we have all of that coverage in the coverage concept, and we have new connections across town. And from Jefferson Mall to Middletown, across Outer Loop, we have new opportunities to connect, and we can do more things and get more places. This network would require the community in the region to decide to invest more in transit to make it happen. But you would be able to, the average person would be able to get to 20% more jobs by transit than they can today. And so you'd have significantly better outcomes in terms of the ability to reach jobs, destinations, schools, and medical services in a reasonable amount of time. And so we know a lot more people would choose to ride that network because it would be so much more useful and reach so many more destinations. So these are the big choices to the community. If we don't have any more resources, where should we land between these priorities of maximizing frequency and ridership or maximizing coverage and touching as many people as possible? And secondly, does the community want to invest so we don't have to cut back and we can actually add and get it? So in the next 6 weeks, TARC, the consultant team, is going out to the community, having public meetings between now and September 12th. There's an online survey for people to respond to tell us where should we fall. Should the community invest more? And to get that feedback, the consultant team and TARC staff will be going to bus stops, will be going to neighborhood meetings, and will be engaging deeply in the community because as a public service, as a public authority, TARC needs to know what the public thinks it should do in this challenging situation. So with that, I'll let Alex close us out.
Thank you, Scudder. And for members of the press, we'll be sending around later today a list of all the upcoming meetings in the community, so folks will be able to see that to know how they can engage with TARC on this project in the coming weeks. We're going to close it down for today, but anybody who's interested in one-on-one interviews, Scudder and Ozzy will both be available for the next 15 or 20 minutes. So thank you very much. Everybody have a good day.
Okay, and when you all go, since we're already set up there, we're all kind of angled. Yeah, perfect. And then we can bail out the people if it's done. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. But yeah, our stuff is over there.
You want to bring cameras over? Yeah.
I know. I think they're just going to sort that. Is it possible to put a log on it? I'm sure you'll get more. Like, 1 second. Whatever's best.
If you don't want to show the maps, we can go to the other side of that. If you do, then
Do you just want to like slide, I guess, or just Does this work for you?
Sure.
Were they going to join in? You want me to join this one? Okay. Go ahead. Push me out of the way. I don't care. Push me down. I'll fight you back.
What station you all with?
We're with Wave.
Okay.
Yeah, we have the Olympics on all day, so I'm like surprised that they're go get this and go do this. So makes it easy for us usually.
We have a package in here.
Okay, another one on this side. Thank you.
And put that corn in as well.
Lots of goods.
Yeah.
You'll be in the middle.
Perfect.
look, are you gonna hop in the middle here? Or do you want to go right here? If you just want to look in the middle,
Yeah.
be good. You all, gentlemen, let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
First question, just say and spell your first and last name for us and give us your official title.
Sure. So my name is Scudder Wagg. That's S-C-U-D-D-E-R. Last name Wagg, W-A-G-G. And I'm with Jarrett Walker and Associates. My title is Principal Associate.
First, tell us a little bit about these concepts right now, because they're clear, they're concepts, not proposals. How did you come up with them and how were they designed?
So these concepts were designed in a collaborative workshop with TARC staff, Metro Louisville staff, and other regional partners. They were designed in consultation with that team, and they were designed intentionally to be very different, to help the community see how different transit could be if we prioritize different goals.
I'm sure this is someone's livelihood, their day-to-day life, got to be strong emotions one way or the other. How do you make everyone happy and try to hit all these different points?
So yeah, there's an enormous challenge here of TARC's fiscal situation means it's going to have to cut service, and that is going to impact people in a challenging way, no matter what we do. Someone is going to have their bus route change or have their bus route, in the next year or so, change in some way that will be challenging for them. It's almost impossible to be able to serve everyone exactly the way they would want to, and so we have to try to balance among all of those requests and demands and needs as best we can. And so this process is about getting the feedback from the community to help us balance as best we can.
With the growth concept being an option for people, when I look at the growth concepts and I'm like, which one should I choose? Well, automatically I'm like, let's go with growth.
Right.
But that comes with certain challenges to actually get there. How do we get there?
So yeah, the questions before the public are, if we have no more funding, we have to choose somewhere between ridership and coverage. So we need your input on that. And then secondly, the growth concept achieves a lot better service. That comes with, it needs additional investment. Local and regional partners would have to find the funding to support that. And that would have to be a conversation with all of the regional elected officials, with all the regional governments about how you find that funding. And that's not a guarantee. Therefore, TARC has to have an option that it can implement even if the local governments and regional partners can't find additional funding.
How much of the role would people's opinions actually play? If we all vote for growth, ridership, then what?
So between the ridership and coverage concepts, the response people provide will be given directly to the TARC board. And at the end of September, the TARC board will get a summary of everything we hear from the public. And it will ultimately be their decision about where to land based on what the public says. So if the public is strongly in the direction of ridership, that will weigh into their decision. If they're strongly in the direction of coverage, that will weigh into their decision. But it's a critical policy decision that the TARC board will ultimately make based on this public input.
Any idea as far as how much money it costs